Well, hello and good evening on the 17th day of May 23. I've just cooked off some macaroni here. Probably hear it hissing and bubbling away there. So I've just taken it off the heat this moment, and I'll drain that through the colander. In this little pot, I just need a little saucepan. I've put in about half a teaspoonful of English mustard powder and some pepper and a decent blob of butter. I don't bother weighing anything. This is to make a roux for the cheese sauce. Quite simply, the butter, you need double amounts of flour to make the correct roux. But so I'll let that slowly melt down on the low heat. Don't want to burn it, so just on a low heat for that one. Meanwhile, I shall drain this fantastic macaroni mix. So the macaroni is resting on the backs there's no heat there, not necessary. And we've got the butter melted down, and it's mixed in with the mustard and the pepper, black pepper. Take a spoonful of flour, just plain flour. There we go. Stick that in there. And then what we want to do is want to make sure that we stir this. It will get lumpy. That's the roux. This is the base for the cheese sauce, obviously. So we mix this up, and then I'll come back and show you once all the flour has been absorbed by the melted butter. It will go slightly hard, and then we're then going to opt to add in the milk. Okay, so you can take it off the heat now. The sufficient melted butter taking up the flour. So I'll be back two seconds. Okay, so that's the flour and butter and the seasoning mixed together. And then what we want to do, I mean, everybody's got their own little method, it's just what suits, but that is the correct base. This milk comes from the Isle of Gia. It's full fat milk, none of that shite reduced fat or what do you call it, semi-skimmed or any of that crap. It's proper milk. It's slightly more expensive, but I don't care, because I would not want to entertain any of that shite that is sold in supermarkets. I mean, the co-op milk's not quite so bad, but I wouldn't. I mean, if you drink any milk, you'll have a sore throat. Without fail. In actual fact, adults were never meant to drink milk at all. In fact, humans were never meant to drink cow's milk at all. The only purpose of milk is to feed the child when it's in its infancy, in the early weeks and months. Hence why the mothers breastfeed the children. I know I was breastfed by my mum because she told me. I don't remember it happening, but she told me about it. And I think it is a healthier way of bringing up your children and not reliant on powdered milk. Of course, not all mothers can, is able to breastfeed, so I can understand why there's substitutes. But humans were never meant to take milk. Somewhere along the line, they started drinking cow's milk and goat's milk and whatnot, but it was never, I don't think it was ever intended to be a purpose as a part of the diet at all, ever. There are other sources of calcium and available, so you don't need to drink milk. But for the purpose of making sauce, then or cheese sauce at least, we need milk, or parsley sauce, whatever sauce you're making. White sauce always starts the same way. But what you want to do is start to break down the all the crumbs that have gathered together where the fat and the flour have clung together. We don't want any lumps, you see. So it's under a very low heat. The higher you put the heat, the more vigorously you've got to stir. So there's no point in putting it on a very high heat unless you're in a bit of a rush, and you're at a busy service in the restaurant or something. But most sauces are made prior to dinner service or lunch service. But so we're just stirring away. You'll start to feel through the wooden spoon it just starting to thicken ever so slightly, and that's what we want. And we're just about all the lumps and pieces are out now. So a little bit more vigour is required to keep it thinned down. You don't want this to thicken at all. This is the secret. You've got to keep stirring. Eventually it starts to get to a point where it's like well, I was not going to say wallpaper paste, but something a little bit thicker, or a little bit creamier. And that is the point that you want to be adding more milk. And this is all down to experience and judging it correctly. You don't want to thin the sauce too much. This is a crucial part, because if you put too much milk in too quickly, you can't thicken it up. It causes a bit of a disaster, so you've got to just be careful. And you'll see some of this, if you stop stirring, the automatic thing it wants to do is all cling together again, so this is why you keep on top of the matters. So I've got one little bit there that's rather persistent, so a little bit. Of course, you should be holding one hand on the pot handle and one stirring. So, but for the purposes of this little video shot, I'm just doing it this way. So once again, we're back to where we were a moment ago, where it's a bit thin, and then it will start to thicken up. So I'll come back, rather than get you to watch this happening all the way through. I'll come back in a second when there's sufficient sauce. Before we add the cheese, to make the cheese sauce, you can also add a little bit more seasoning if you wish. I don't put any salt in. I think there's enough salt in the butter to be bothered about. I mean, unsalted butter, I mean, who the heck wants to buy unsalted butter? The whole point of salt in butter is to preserve it, so why would you take that salt out of butter? It's all this crap to keep selling you. Low-fat crisps, low-fat yogurt, sugar-free this, sugar. It's just a bunch of crap. Anything it's low-fat or no-fat or zero salt or whatever that. Don't buy it. It means it's preserved with chemicals and not preserved the correct way. All preservation should be done with salt or vinegar, or indeed sugars. Welcome back. So I've done another layer of this milk. I've used about 1/4 pint altogether. So we're back to that thickening stage. This is where we want to. I've also transferred the macaroni back into the pot. So there's no liquid, it's just the macaroni there. It's not on any heat, I can assure you. But it will go back on the heat when we add this this sauce to mix through the macaroni. I think this is probably a decent time to start adding cheese. It's entirely up to yourself just how much cheese you want to add, but I'm just using the remnants of this 250 kilo bag. It's about 1/4 left. I'm not using it all, obviously, but put as much as you want to. You're not going to get upset about it. So the cheese will melt into the sauce. And it's starting to thicken up quite readily now. So this is what we want. very, very thick, and all the lumps of away that I was talking about earlier. All we've got left now is the grated red Leicester cheese, and of course the white sauce. So I think what we'll do, Angie, we'll just pop another little sprinkle of milk in at the back there, just a tickle. Keep it a little thinner, because we want all this to be absorbed by the macaroni, you see. So you can see where we're going now. I'm quite happy with this, you see. This is exactly what we want. I've turned the heat up just ever so slightly, pop it up a wee bit more, and it means it's starting to cook off now, this sauce. So much more vigorous stirring is now required as a result. Put in some normal cheese just to spank it up a little. There we go. I'll switch camera off, and what I'm going to do is transfer this cheese sauce into the macaroni and bring the macaroni back onto the heat, okay? Okay, so you can now see just exactly how thick this cheese sauce is now. That's it essentially made. It will continue to cook. And what I'm going to do now is transfer. It's not easy to do this. You'll have to take my word for it. This is going into this macaroni now, which is now on the heat itself. This is all happening within about 30 seconds. So I've added a little bit more pepper and given this a really good stir up, and just put a little bit sprinkling more cheese around the top there, because what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it into this dish, and this dish is going to go into the oven maybe for 10 or 15 minutes, just to allow the macaroni to heat right through the cheese going through. You can layer it up with some sliced tomato at the top if you wish, but I find the tomatoes are all genetically modified and taste like apples at the moment, so I don't like the tomatoes just now. They're not very flavoursome. So that's all the macaroni and cheese, quite thick as well. It's very nice. This is going to do for several servings, I'll show you. I do prefer the Marshall's macaroni. This is, I think it's a Tesco, this one I got on Sunday, but Marshall's macaroni is deluxe. But I don't like the way they've done the packaging, as mentioned just the other day ago, I think. But that's the finished product, and once that goes into the oven, that will just grill off. I put the last sprinkling of cheese on top. That will settle down, and you can portion that up and freeze it if you want, or you can just separate it for next couple of 3 meals. It's a quick and easy dish to make. It gives you a lot of energy, and there's a lot of nutrition in there as well. So hopefully that helps you if you're ever stuck how to make a little cheese and macaroni dish. Not fucking mac cheese, I have to add. Please do not ever use the terminology mac cheese, or I won't speak to you. There we go. And during the period that your macaroni finally is cooking off, it's a grand opportunity to just wash the pots and utensils that you were using, provided the water's hot. It is, and that will save you any washing up later on. So basically you've got a clean kitchen, and you've got your meal served, and you'll enjoy it very much, I'm sure. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate a little time viewing these little things. I always like to help people because, well, that's my nature, isn't it?